Good morning. Welcome to our final downtown download for the year here. We're going to, maybe I should have waited. I think we must be good to go now. Just going to go over a little bit of a recap of what we did in this last year. Talk about our downtown substation was a major project that we had, the parking project, which is ongoing. Directed patrols that we had throughout this fall. Some citation statistics just to show some of the active enforcement that was taken in our downtown area. Some of the work we've been doing with homelessness and mental health. A little bit of a plan of what we're going to be doing next year, and then just talk about the Holiday Lights Parade a little bit. And then we'll have a time for public question comment. A reminder that each person has 2 minutes and 30 seconds to have that public comment. We'll make sure that we give someone who's going to have public comment the blue block microphone to speak with. So when we get to that point, just raise your hand if you have something to say or have a question. We'll make sure that microphone gets to you. So, all right, here we go. Substation. It is completed, and it's a great space. I've been talking about this a little bit throughout the year, actually a lot, but what we really wanted was to have a footprint in the downtown area and a place for individuals, officers to work out of, not only be able to take a break, eat some food, use the restroom, but engage the community in the downtown area. We're able to keep equipment down there, forms, things that we might need to do our daily job. And then it allows just for a little bit of an easier foot patrol downtown to interact and communicate with the community. Also be able to hold meetings there with some of our downtown partners, and just many different uses. Talked to multiple people downtown who have explained that they really appreciate it being down there, and they feel a little bit of a difference in police presence, especially in that northern section of our downtown area already. And so officers are continuing to use that. A couple things: it is not staffed, and it's something that obviously could be a possibility in years to come. When we designed the substation, we made sure that appropriate cables and electric ports and all kinds of things were put in there, so we could have a front desk and a front reception area if need be. But for now, it won't be staffed, and it'll just be officers going in and out at all hours of the day and the night. So one really cool thing about it is we did put an emergency phone or emergency kiosk in the front doorway. If for some reason your cell phone doesn't work, you can't get to your phone, you need a safe place to go, that is a safe place to go. There are cameras on the outside of the building, and if you are to press that button, we'd be able to watch you from camera until an officer got there if an officer was not there. So one thing, there's been rumor going around there are public restrooms at our police substation, and that is not the fact. There are no public restrooms at the substation, just a private for law enforcement. So I'm really excited about the substation. I think the graphics that were put on the outside is a great representation of our agency and our mission, vision, and values, and just is a good addition to the neighborhood. So excited that we were able to get that completed, and also excited to see how we'll be able to use that in 2023. Parking project is ongoing. I'd say that we still have a little way to go on this. I've been working with our rideshare companies to get their geofencing in the appropriate areas. Uber seems to have geofencing working in all of the 5 locations that we have. Lyft, it seems to work, and then sometimes it doesn't. So still working with Lyft. It's sending people oftentimes on our 3rd Avenue, 5th Street location, is sending them a block to the north. And so something we're still working on. The locations are marked with signs like this, and I've actually had flags put on those signs just for a little bit more visibility. This is a change in parking culture for our downtown area, and it's not been going easy. We've had to do months of education, then into ticketing. We have actually impounded some vehicles in our more busy area, which is MP Avenue, the 600 block. So we're going to continue to do this. One of the plans we have is to communicate using bars and some of their communication, because a lot of the people that are parking these areas during the the late night time frame from Thursday through early Sunday morning are also frequenting our bars. So we're going to work with bars in the upcoming actually weeks to try to get them to help us push this message of where these areas are at. And we also want to start working with colleges, as a lot of college traffic in our downtown area during the same times that we have these. This is something that was put into city ordinance. It was passed by city commission, so it's not going to be going away. Places might change if it's not working, but this ordinance is here to stay, and so we want to work with the community and with everybody here to try to get these working. The original intent was to pull people away from Broadway, to have less traffic on Broadway, and to make exit from downtown at bar close a little bit more efficient. And so we're going to continue to work on that along with some of our downtown partners throughout this late fall. Actually, it's obviously winter, but still fall, I guess. But through the end of the year and into next year. Just a reminder, those locations, the cab stands and the pedestrian pickups, are 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. Thursday night through early Sunday morning. It's for pickup only. If you use it, it's not just for rideshare, it's for anyone in the pickup area. You have to be in your vehicle. You can stay there for 10 minutes. And officers will be enforcing parking violations in those areas. We're also looking at rideshare drivers and making sure that they're using those areas. So work in progress, but the people that I've been talking to, the majority of people say we like this as long as we can get vehicles to stop parking in the location so we can actually use it. So that's the one thing that we're trying to get done right now. Directed plan enforcement, we did 3 large directed patrols in our downtown area throughout this fall. We did that in conjunction with Cass County Sheriff's Department or Sheriff's Office and the North Dakota Highway Patrol. Multiple arrests, a lot of intel gathered, and really just a lot of good engagement with the community when we did this. Many people calling in, giving messages saying we were glad to see a large enforcement presence in the downtown area, and wanted that continued. We do this based on intel and data, and we focus these patrols based on intel and data, and intel and data shows, it actually showed even in the last couple of weeks, that our crime numbers, our calls for service, have gone down in the downtown area. And so our directed patrols are going to adjust with that. We're still going to have some type of planned directed patrol throughout this winter, but not on that large scale, and maybe focusing on some different types of areas or different types of enforcement. And so we'll move to a larger scale directed enforcement in the spring when our numbers statistically go up, if we start to see that rise. So we'll continue with what you saw in the fall, this fall, in the spring, and throughout the winter we're going to still have some type of directed enforcement, but it'll be a smaller scale based on data, time of day, day of week, and type of crime that we're seeing. It was actually very good to get downtown at night and see how much the downtown has changed since I patrolled as an officer when I first started my career. Not only in volume of people, and not only in the good ways, but to see where we maybe can improve a little bit in our downtown area. So we gathered really good intel and able to make some good plans for our upcoming 2023 spring response. I put some data up here, and I was trying to fit it all into a couple slides, but I wanted to show our citations for 21 and 22 for some of the quality of life concerns that we deal with in downtown. The largest one that we see often is possession of alcohol or consuming alcohol in public, open container in public, which is against city ordinance. And we wrote 287 of those up, and these numbers go through Halloween. And so 287 citations just in the downtown area in the last year. Urinating in public, 14. Panhandling, we wrote 7. That's down from 16 last year, but a combined total of, I got to look here, 308 citations in the downtown area on quality of life issues, up last year from 293. So the reason I wanted to show that combined is we've had less officers in the downtown area this year. As everybody is struggling with staffing, so have we. We've really put together a plan of not only engaging with the community, but also taking enforcement when needed. And our enforcement has gone up. And I wanted to put that number to show These quality of life issues, these little issues, if we enforce these, we stop larger issues from happening in the downtown area. And so we focused on these quite a bit, even with the limited amount of people we've been able to put downtown on a regular basis. And I just wanted to show that that enforcement is up. Yes, sir. So blue is 2021 and orange is 2022. And it's just showing separate months on those columns. And so our numbers are consistent almost every year in the downtown area. About this time of year, they start to go down considerably because of weather. And they start to raise as weather gets warmer. And every single time, whether it's citations, whether it's assaults, thefts, whatever we're looking at, it consistently in the last 20 years that I've worked here, it does that. It goes up, it peaks July, August, and it starts to go down as school comes back into session, and then weather gets cooler. And so that's what that is showing. And you see that peak here also, not just you see that not just in violations, but also in enforcement as the department responds to those violations. So downtown noise, that's something that we've been working through with everyone in the community, in our downtown community especially, and started in May at one of our downloads with a concern that we looked into, and it's brought up all kinds of questions concerning our ordinance, what people can and cannot do in the downtown area, and what we can and cannot enforce. And that's been a large project. Started with me, has moved beyond me, and moved into not only our executive ranks at the police department, but into the commission, and really brought up a lot of very good questions on what we can do for everyone to live in the downtown area and thrive in the downtown area, doing what it is their right to do. And so what we're currently doing is enforcing laws that we have on the books, ordinances that we have on the books when it comes to street performing in the downtown area. And we're also enforcing laws that we have in the books when it comes to loud and unnecessary noise. We want street performers in the downtown area. We want our downtown area to be a vibrant, fun place to go. But we have to make sure that everybody in the downtown area, including residents, are able to live there and feel like they're having a good experience also. And so we're taking reasonable enforcement on those ordinances that are in the books, and we're also working with many stakeholders over this winter with the goal of having updated ordinance or revisions to our noise ordinance and our street performing ordinance by the spring, so that we have a good answer on where to go for next summer for our street performers and our residents in the downtown area. And so a continual project on that throughout this late part of 2022 and into 2023. Homelessness and mental health. This is obviously something that we get a lot of concerns, a lot of calls about in our downtown area, our homeless population and individuals struggling with mental health. And when we started our downtown downloads in early 2022, I was addressing people saying, I don't feel safe down here. And I have this feeling of lack of safety in the downtown area. And when I started looking at the numbers don't show that people are unsafe or that they're having crimes committed to them during the day, during the week, or even during the day on the weekend. When our crimes happen in the downtown area are at bar close and around that bar close time, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturday nights. And so I started saying, well, why do people still feel unsafe downtown? Started taking walks with officers downtown and foot patrol on my own, and it was very obvious to me that we have a mental health crisis in our downtown area in many ways. We have a lot of individuals struggling with mental health in our downtown area, and this is across the board. We're hearing this from other agencies and other cities. There are a lot of people struggling with mental health, and there are a lot of people struggling with homelessness, and sometimes they're one and the same along with addiction. And so really looking at working with community partners, working with state partners, and with members of our city commission and entities within our city to try to come up with a good response for individuals struggling with mental health issues and homelessness. And so this isn't something that you fix tomorrow. This isn't something that you fix overnight. This is something that takes a long time to fix if you're going to have a good solution. And so we're continuing to do that. One of the things that we implemented last spring was an outreach to individuals who are homeless and camping by the river. And we partnered with Mobile Outreach, Fargo Parks, River Keepers, and did weekly homeless camp cleanups, check-ins. Our mobile outreach group was able to help get people housed and at least provide housing, and able to just check in on the safety of individuals and people at those camps. And we had much fewer complaints this year than we did in 2021. I can vouch for that. Much fewer phone calls, and camps were fewer. And I think that's a good. It shows a good work from that relationship that we had this entire year, and working with partnership with those entities. And just had a meeting last week, and we're going to continue that type of outreach, not only with all those entities that are involved, and hope to add to it. And so you'll be seeing similar camp cleanups and camp outreach into 2023 with that same type of relationship. And I see that as one of the larger successes we've had in 2022 when it comes to our homeless outreach and mental health outreach. We're also starting discussions with Southeast Human Services for some type of mobile downtown outreach, and even mobile outreach within the city. Already working with them on one individual that we found to be in extreme crisis, and generating a lot of calls for service for our agency, and working with them on that individual, and hoping that acts as almost like a pilot program to extend into our downtown area as soon as possible. For next year, as I said, we're going to continue with partnerships on our mental health, individuals in crisis and homelessness, not only with MOP, Downtown Engagement Center, Gladys Ray, but also Southeast Human Services, and we'll be looking for more partners throughout the year. I'm going to be looking at a little bit more of an inclusive downtown download next year. A lot of questions come to me, a lot of things are brought to me that I don't have the answers for, or really am not even the person that should be dealing with that situation. When it comes to different ordinances, when it comes to mental health, homelessness, there are many stakeholders in our city that could answer that question much better than I am. So what I'm going to be doing next year is looking to invite some of our partners up to speak on some of the work they're doing on some of the things with us in partnership, and allow them to have the spotlight a little bit, so to speak, and have question and answer time in the public venue here at City Commission during our download meeting. So I'm excited to do that. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, and I'll be reaching out to a lot of our partners and over the winter here to come up with a plan on that. But I want this to be a place that people can come and get an answer for what's happening in the downtown community. Maybe I don't have the best answer, but maybe someone else here from the DCP or MOP or planning or whoever it might be does. And so looking to have that type of environment next year for this meeting. One of the main things that we're doing next year, and this will start in early January, is we do our yearly shift switches, and people bid for different places to work in the police department. For many years, I've been in charge of our community trust team, our community trust officers, and our community engagement team. That involves our SROs and our community trust officers and our cultural liaison officer. Listening to the community, looking at data, looking at what not only the community but individuals at our department feel would be a good response in the upcoming years. We're going to not only keep our engagement to youth that we've been doing for the last 7 years, but I want to add a team that's going to engage the community in a little bit of a different way. And we're going to start in the downtown area. It's going to be an 8-officer team by the time we're done. We're going to have to do this on implemented steps because of staffing, but in January we're going to be starting with 4 on this engagement team. And we're going to be looking for areas within the city, not just downtown. We're going to start downtown, but areas within the city that we can go and solve problems and engage with neighborhoods, take enforcement when needed, but also kind of dig to the bottom of what's causing the issue and try to fix that with our community partners. And it's something that we're doing downtown. It's something that we could do, for example, with an area of the city that maybe has problem apartment buildings, or maybe has a resident that's creating issues or an unsafe environment, we can go into that community, we can have community meetings, we can bring in the partners that are needed and try to solve that issue, not just with enforcement, because we know enforcement isn't the only way to do it often. It's within partnership and using resources that we have available. So we'll be starting with those 4 in the downtown area. It'll include our current downtown resource officers, but we'll also include our community trust officer positions and our cultural liaison position. And we'll be able to use that team to not only engage but enforce when needed in areas that we're having higher crime, higher calls for service, or some type of community issue. We'll also be using this team for our parades, parade planning, engagement during those parades, for things like street fair, for farmers market, for any type of event that we might have in the downtown area in the city. It'll be that team's job to respond to that event, help plan that event, provide security for that event, and engage with our community at those events. And so a little bit of a restructure of our community engagement team. In the summers, our SROs who aren't in the schools will be continuing with engagement to youth and juvenile diversion and some of our summer programming that we've done. And they will also continue with juvenile diversion throughout the year. So we don't want to lose that important piece of engaging with our youth. But we're going to be using those community trust officers in a little bit of an updated way, and it'll be starting in our downtown area, which is why I bring that plan to the downtown download today, because you'll be seeing a little bit more of an officer presence starting here in January. Last but not least, on next year, we're going to try quarterly presentations next year. As we went through the summer, it became repetitive monthly. And so what we'll do is a quarterly presentation throughout the year. If needed, if there's some major issue that needs to be addressed, then we'll just, we'll hold a download when needed throughout the summer and see. We might do our first one, it will be in March, and our second one would be around June. And if we say, hey, we need more throughout the summer, we'll just add more. But I noticed as I went through July and into August, it's like, okay, I'm saying some of the same things, I'm giving updates on the same things, and some of our people that were in attendance stopped coming, whereas today we have a pretty good room of people after a couple months being, without one of these. And so want to give that a try next year. If more are needed, we'll just add more. And so our first one, I'm not sure the exact date, I haven't looked at the calendar yet, but it will be in March of next year. Unless there's some major something that we need to address, we'll have one sooner. I went the wrong way. Holiday Lights Parade, just had a meeting yesterday with the DCP and Penny, and if you guys have something to say on this, make sure you say it. But this will be December 3rd, starting at 6:30 p.m. Truly an event that I look forward to, even though it creates a lot of work for many of us. It's an event that I really look forward to. It just doesn't seem like the holiday season has started until the Holiday Lights Parade happens. And you really see a lot of people down there, a lot of kids, and really enjoying our downtown area. And so 6:30 p.m. December 3rd, make sure you line the streets. It's great to see a bunch of people down there. There will be a police presence down there from a safety aspect and also within the parade. And so we're right in the middle of doing all kinds of planning for that right now. And when I think of parades like this, I've been working in the downtown area for almost 20 years in one way, shape, or form. And I remember downtown in 2001 when I started. We didn't have this parade. We didn't have a lot of the events that we have now. We didn't have a lot of the really great shopping opportunities, a lot of the really awesome looking venues and storefronts and buildings and vibrancy that we have today. And that's the reason we have those things and parades like this is because of a lot of the great work from a lot of our partners in the downtown area. And we want to continue to move forward with that work that's been going on, always adjusting, always looking at what the mission is, seeing if that's the appropriate mission to have at the time and adjusting if need be. But I'm really proud of where our downtown area is at. I'm excited to see where we move here into the future. And so that is all I have. If anybody has questions, I know we had one impromptu question. Chris has a question. If somebody wants to bring Chris the blue block of communication, you'll have 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Chris, for public comment. Can we turn the blue block on for Chris?
Hello.
There we go.
Lieutenant, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I sent you an email that contained a 39-page Florida Supreme Court case regarding a code that they had that a speaker could be heard within 25 feet, and they found that to be unconstitutional. And I know I've had communications with you and Captain Helmick and the police lobby, so you guys aren't concerned with other states' Supreme Court cases. I do feel that North Dakota has justices that are just as competent as Florida and probably would agree with them. So when you are changing this 1102 that you're working on, I want you to take that in consideration. I think it's important because last week or the week before, an officer came up to a gentleman playing bass guitar at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and he said that it could be heard from 25 feet away. Some barber shop called in on him, and we just can't have that. You can't, just because you can hear a speaker from 10 or 25 feet away, we can't have it. And it's written right in your code that says any amplified speaker that can be heard within 10 feet is a violation. And I was at a bench trial yesterday for a noise ordinance, and the prosecutor used the same words in his argument. This person could be heard from 10 feet away. And even the prosecutor is not considering this. And I just think it's really important, and I wanted the chance for you to hear it here in public. I mean, I know I sent you the email, and I want you guys to take it seriously. If you would, that's really all I have to say. I mean, obviously you passed 1803 really quickly. The collateral damage to that is artwork that doesn't involve loud noise. I wish you guys could detach that loud from your thoughts when you consider this stuff. You know, if someone wanted to go paint a picture at midnight, I don't see what the problem is. I don't think anybody in the city would have a problem with it. And I don't see if someone wanted to play an instrument at the same levels that you are allowing the bars to play their speakers at, the food carts to play their speakers at. I just think that you could probably even reconsider your 1803 that you passed quickly while you consider this 1102 over the winter months like you mentioned. And that's really all I have for you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. One thing that I forgot to mention in my download is that I had the bullet points there and I just forgot to say it, but we are currently reaching out to bars and push carts and working with them on making sure that they're in compliance with our noise ordinances also. Larger group of people takes more time to do that. And so I want to make sure I forgot to say that in my presentation. As for any type of change to city ordinance, Chris or anyone else in here, I'm not the person to do that. Our commission is the person to do that. Our city attorneys are the people to do that. We are the branch of city government that enforces current ordinances that are on the books. And that is what we have been currently doing in multiple situations in our downtown area. And so I'm listening to you. I've listened to you multiple times, Chris. I've given you multiple answers, so has Captain Helmick and many from our agency. And really looking forward to coming to some type of solution through our city throughout this winter to make sure that we have a noise ordinance and a street performing ordinance that everybody in the downtown neighborhood is happy with and that everybody feels good about. So, any other questions? Well, Faith, hello.
Yes, thank you. I've been downtown since May in the nightlife, just kind of down there with food cart vendors, working along with them, and just seeing how the life is. I have been out of the scene for a couple of years, so I wanted to see how it was, and being down there from May to October. Fargo, this is a thriving city. There is a lot going on down there, but what I was very disappointed in seeing was that Fargo Police Department was downtown on homecoming night, so NDSU homecoming night on Halloween, and were out there with video cameras and media to show how Fargo can be when there's a lot of people downtown. But nowhere did I see Fargo PD down there on regular Friday nights or Saturday nights that didn't have special, things that's going on within our city. So I think it's what you're portraying. It's what you're showing our residents, that downtown is a problem all the time, and it's not that. I think that more police presence is necessary, but the in the extent that you used it with North Dakota Highway Patrol, Cass County, pulling over innocent people that didn't do anything, people that were walking down the streets just to have a good time, I think that was a little excessive. And when you use your media performance that you did that night, just say Halloween night or homecoming night, it shows a different atmosphere. It doesn't show a regular Saturday night, say June 5th or July 25th. It doesn't show that. It shows, yes, hundreds or more people downtown going to have a good time, just like I've seen in Chicago, Minneapolis, Colorado when I were there. I mean, it's the same way everywhere, but you guys want to make sure that you show the negative and not the positive of our downtown. Thank you.
I'll make a comment on that. We did those saturations based on data, based on intel that we've seen in years past on when calls for service might be up or when incidents might be occurring based on population downtown. And so that's why we picked those dates. As for claims that we might have made or other agencies might have made illegal or inappropriate traffic stops or contacts, we always have the option of going to those agencies and putting in some type of complaint or working with those agencies with those claims. Any other questions?
All right, Patrick Kelly's my name. So 5 months ago, I came to a downtown download and I asked a specific question. I said, do complaints from citizens, are they trumped by complaints from businesses? We've now had 5 months of what I would consider intellectual dishonesty, selective enforcement, and basically what I would consider class warfare. So basically, if you have money, your complaints get answered. If you don't have money, your complaints don't get answered, and you're ticketed into non-existence. So I think what we've got going on, not only intellectual dishonesty, we have something called ideological possession. I've had the Downtown Community Partnership, I've had the police higher-ups, I even had a squad, just a regular officer out on the street, all say to me, Patrick, it's different because they're businesses and they've been here a long time. It's not different. Your code says persons, it defines persons. The fact that you guys refuse to enforce, you're selectively enforcing against a guy with a guitar. How many men with guns does it take to stop a man with a guitar? Does it take 5? Do you have to pull up on the sidewalk with the lights on? So I guess I just like my question would be the intellectual dishonesty and the ideological possession.
Okay, thank you.
Is that right for Fargo?
Any other questions? So just, I'm not sure exactly where you're going with all that, but I'm going to tell you where the enforcement lies. There's enforcement being taken on loud unnecessary noise and street performing, and there's other enforcement that can be taken on noise coming from within establishments, and that's the difference that's being explained to you. But other than that, I don't know how to answer your question or respond to either statement you had. Does anybody else have a question? Wes? Sure, we can get you just so you're heard, we can get you the blue block of communication.
I don't know that I necessarily have a question, but just like a quick comment. Our city is growing rapidly. Our airport is growing. Amazon is here. Things are really taking off for our city. And, I've been to many downtowns. In our downtown, is it considered an entertainment district? I guess that is a quick question there.
Okay, it's a multi-use district. It's a multi-use zone district. So there are many things, residents, all kinds of things that can happen in the downtown district.
Sure. And so, like, I guess noise has been kind of one of the biggest, topics on this. And I think, like, we have to consider, like, who the loudest voices are. And it feels like the loudest voices are those who want a quiet downtown. And if we have a quiet downtown, we don't have a very entertaining downtown. And so my hope is that you guys are really considering that balance. I'm not picking up the axe to fight the battle of necessarily street performers, but when I think about the bars where a lot of our tax dollars come from and a lot of the business and foot traffic from downtown, it brings, if you guys quiet the bars, you're going to quiet the business and we're not going to really have a thriving downtown. And I think that needs to be said and acknowledged. To make sure that we don't kill the entertainment piece of downtown. I think that when people decide to go and sign a lease and go and live downtown, they have to consider the fact that they're living within an entertainment district. But it does feel like those with power and with money are the ones that are pushing this the hardest to quiet our downtown. And like the everyday people don't have as much of a voice or a seat at the table. And so I'm just asking that you guys consider that as you're like working through this to make sure that our downtown meets what another downtown in another bigger city looks like, because Fargo is the mecca of North Dakota and our downtown is the mecca of Fargo. And so I just hope that that equity is there. And then the last piece too is like with our houseless folks, to make sure that we don't criminalize them and make sure we provide them with the proper resources so that they don't continue the cycle of going to jail.
I appreciate your comments. And just to reiterate what I said in my presentation, we want downtown to be vibrant. We want downtown to have entertainment. We want downtown to be a great place to go. But it's a multi-use area where people live and people work and so we have to make sure that everybody feels as if they're living in a place that they are happy in being in, or to be in, that we create an environment that all people want to go. And so, again, I am the enforcement arm of this whole thing. And when we're talking about changes to ordinance, when we're talking about all of these different things, the city you want, the place you want it to be, you can go to commission, you can go to your elected officials, you can say, this is what we want, this is where we want to be. And those are the individuals that then come together and make those decisions, and then we enforce the laws and rules that are made by those individuals and state law. And so I appreciate your comments, and I thank you for your comments. I agree with what you're saying in many ways. And if we want something to be changed, then we have to come to our city government, not the enforcement arm. We've tried that. We said, hey, we're doing what we can. We have to move into the commission realm and into the legal realm to work on those things. And so I want downtown to be fun. I love coming downtown off duty. I'm like you, Faith, where I haven't been downtown very late up until recently, just because I'm past that usually in my life. But I love being downtown. It's a great place, and I want it to remain a great place. We just have to make sure that everybody feels welcome downtown. And so that's what I'd like to see, and that's what we're going to be working towards this winter. Any other questions? All right. I appreciate everybody's attendance. I'll be available for questions afterwards if needed. And everybody we're going into the holiday season. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving, have a great Christmas, and we'll see you all next year.